On September 24th, I awoke to pounding on my door. Living in an apartment complex with a secure door, that was pretty strange. But at 7 a.m., that's even stranger for me. Doing student organizing, I don't see the light of day. At 7 a.m. was a very rude awakening. I opened the door, FBI agents are saying, FBI agents, we have a warrant, shoving their way into my apartment, telling me I had to sit on my couch while they had free liberty in my apartment. They took my roommate and a friend who was at our house at the time and also ordered them onto the couch. We were told if we had to go to the bathroom, we were escorted. We had an agent with us in the bathroom. Yeah, pretty gross. You know, stressful situations. I'm a smoker. I don't know, kind of gross habit, but what do you do when you're stressed out? You smoke. So we decided to hell with it. We're told, well, we can leave at any time, which means we can leave and let them have full reign of our apartment without us being even there. Or we had to sit there. So they won't leave. We thought, we'll try and smoke them out. Not an easy feat given there were 4 cigarettes and 3 people. Kind of a bummer. They took my phone. They told me I could make a phone call to my boss and to a lawyer. They wouldn't tell me who else was being raided. They were trying to isolate us. But luckily their own stupidity actually helped us. When our FBI handler, at the time the guy watching us had his walkie-talkie on full blast, so I hear, Sundin House checking in, Kelly House checking in. So I had a sense that I was not alone. In addition to having my apartment raided, I was given a subpoena to appear in front of a grand jury, along with 13 others. My date was October 12th. The first date for some people was October 5th. That's only a week, or like 3 days after our homes were raided, very, very soon after. The decision of the 14 of us at that time was to plead the fifth. And through our lawyers, we learned that we could plead the fifth by signing a letter, and our subpoenas would be suspended. I knew at the time, and all of us knew, that this was not the end, but a brief reprieve. And sure enough, within a month, myself, along with Sarah Martin and Enfam, were told that, in fact, they would like to re-invite us to come and talk to the grand jury. We know it's been confirmed that the 3 of us will have our subpoenas reactivated. And thanks to the holiday, we have had some additional time so we can come be with our families during this time. But we know that within the next week, we'll have probably exact dates, and it could happen very soon. Our lawyers will attempt to make motions that will potentially quash the subpoenas. Who knows what that will do. And although I don't have a specific date, I want people to know that this is actually very serious. And I know for myself that it's very serious. And that's especially true for the families and also for the 3 new women who have been subpoenaed. The most important thing to know is that you're not alone. That in fact, you stand with an amazing group of people being subpoenaed, but also an amazing group of people standing behind us. I'm 29 years old. I actually turned 30 in May. Not really exciting, but it's coming. I've lived my entire life in Minnesota. The trip to Palestine was actually the first time I had ever had a passport. Working class family, our trips were to the Midwest, the Dells and things like that. And sometimes to see my grandparents in Alexandria. Nothing real exotic. And in fact, in my house, we were never talking politics. In fact, my mom, when I was a kid, I had asked her who she was voting for president. She would say that it's rude to ask people that. And my dad, when I asked him, he said Ross Perot because he feels some sort of brotherhood with another man who has very large ears. It's actually high school debate that got me into thinking critically about policy issues. At the time, there was a woman who was a debate coach who was in the anti-war committee, and she told me a lot about the amazing work that the anti-war committee does, which, got me really interested. I started going on and off, generally with a feeling that, I knew that the U.S. government was doing something wrong in the world. When I finally made the decision before the Iraq War to really commit myself, I joined Freedom Road, actually, several years after that. learning that I needed to make a deeper commitment to the movement and to being part of building movements for the rest of my life. Like I said, I started before the war in Iraq, and through that work, I learned how much Palestine is connected to what's happening in the Middle East. That in fact, it's a critical part of understanding why we're in a war with Iraq right now. At the time, in 2002, 2 people from the Anti-War Committee visited Palestine, and hearing their heartbreaking and absolutely maddening stories where my tax dollars, where our tax dollars are going, I knew that I also wanted to take that trip. And in 2004, in August, I was able to do so. Thanks in no small part to Hatem, to actually other people who hosted me here before I left. That is, without a doubt, one of the most defining moments of my life. I learned not just what occupation was in a vague sense, but in a real sense. Seeing the weapons that 18-year-old kids in Israel are handed to ensure the occupation continues, to hold at checkpoints and to hold at Palestinians at gunpoint. The thing that was most amazing is that I also learned what solidarity is in a very real sense. The Palestinians that hosted us, that met with us, they had a very deep understanding of struggles around the world, of historical struggles actually. And I knew that solidarity wasn't just an idea, a vague idea, but something that ran in Palestinian blood. They knew that their struggle was intricately connected to the labor struggles in the United States, the American Indian struggle, to immigrant rights struggles in the United States, along with the struggles all throughout the world. And that's where I knew that that had to be what ran in my blood. Upon returning to the United States, I did a lot of speaking engagements. I spoke from what I saw firsthand, and no longer was I afraid to defend absolutely that we needed to give Palestine back to the Palestinians. I will not apologize for this trip to Palestine. I will not stop speaking out for the rights of Palestinians, despite the government repression. As Hatem said, I now organize with Students for a Democratic Society at the University of Minnesota. I wouldn't say I graduated, I went back a little younger, went back to school. In my work with SDS, I've been bringing in 18-year-olds, people who haven't seen a protest before. And after my home was raided, I was kind of worried, like, this isn't exactly why you get people to join fighting tuition hikes and things like that. You get them to join to fight for things that are in their own interest, but then they see somebody that's trying to get them more involved have their house raided. And I've been amazed, actually. 18-year-olds see it and they know what's really going on. People are standing up there and scared of this repression. In fact, 2 weeks ago we had a press conference talking about our reactivated subpoenas. They all show up, never having been to a protest in December, in the end of November in Minnesota. No hats. No hats, no gloves. A brutal lesson that had to be learned, I guess. Kind of a rough one. It's very cold in Minnesota right now. I'd like to also give a shout out to SDS nationally. It's one of the first groups that put out a statement in support of us. And SDS nationally has been a major feature of organizing protests around the country in support and speaking out against what's happening. I just want to close by telling people I'm not going to stop speaking out for workers' rights. My day job, I work for ASME, Local 3800, the clerical workers at the U of M. I continue to stay strong with them as they have come up for me. I continue to speak out and to stand up for housing issues, taking back homes against foreclosure. I'll continue to speak out for the immigrant rights movement as I have. And I will continue to set the record straight that education is in fact a right and not a privilege in this country. I know that my future is unsure. I don't know what's going to happen next. The U.S. government will very likely want me to name names and to make a case in criminalizing the work that I've been doing over this last almost decade. But I've made a commitment to stand up with the people of the world and the people in this room and the people in the United States, standing up for justice.